Guys, welcome back to the CSA Forex channel. I'm yet to get a trade this week, and today is Wednesday, 8th of November. But enough about me. How is your trading coming along so far? Right? The market hasn't given me an opportunity to take a trade, and of course, I'm not just going to jump into the market. But then we are here to talk about the opportunities of today. Maybe today could be the time that we get a trade or two. I have been keeping an eye on the dollar, of course, and the majors, gold, Bitcoin, and even the spools, NASDAQs, and a few others as well. So we are going to be talking about, first of all, the dollar, the DXY, and the majors, and then we'll cross over to a few. As usual, the first thing we need to do is to check the calendar. And if you have a look at the calendar for today, remember we said today is November 8th, Wednesday, right? And we are going to be having, in about 3 hours from now, we're going to be having the Bank of England Governor, Bailey, who will be on the wires. And then by 3:15 p.m. Nigerian time for the dollar, we're going to be having the Fed Chair Powell also giving a speech on the wires as well. So expect high volatility during these periods at about 10:30 a.m. and then 3:15 p.m. as well, right? And you can see we turned on only the high impact news for the impact. And that's why everything here is red. You remember we always say, and by the way, you should already know by now that trading is repetition. And that's why you hear some traders say that trading is boring because it's the same thing over and over and over and over and over again, right? That's it. So we check the calendar first of all to see what's coming out that could easily cause some, volatility in the market, fresh volatility, whipsaws, spread increment, slippage, and so on. And that's what we have for today, Wednesday. And then after doing this, we now cross over to the technicals, which happens to be the chart. Now, as we're crossing over to the technicals, keep in mind the instruments that we have and then the time, 10:30 for the pound, and then 3:15 for the dollar, right? Because that is when we should be expecting that volatility to be introduced to the market. So now looking at the DXY for the intraday point of view, intraday, because we're looking for something that we can take advantage of now, and it won't be from the scalping perspective. Scalping is pretty fast. By the time you watch this video, the trade might have already occurred or might have already been invalidated or whatever. That's because when it comes to scalping, I always say it is best if that is done live. But for this DXY, we talked about this in the previous video where we marked these areas here as resistance, and then we're expecting price to come back that time and then push higher. But that was not the case. I repeat, that was not the case. But instead, it pushed higher the more, and then it seems to be forming like a sort of area of interest here, right? And this is pretty tight as well. This will be forming sort of interest supply here. That means that from here, I'm expecting it to drop down. And if this happens, it could also come back and retest this and then drop further down some more. If this happens, you should already have an idea that based on the directional bias for today, right, the 8th of November, the directional bias for the USD, I'm just going to write it over here. The directional bias for the USD is down. Now, if this happens, and that's why we always say it's either up or down, it's either you are buying or selling. So once you have an idea of the market and what to expect, then it will also give you that, directional bias and what you're supposed to be doing, whether it's a buy or sell. Don't forget, you need to also determine if you are a trend trader with the trend or a counter trend trader against the trend. So this is what I'm looking out for the dollar for today, November 8th, Wednesday. We're looking for the dollar to be weak and then to drop down. Now, if this happens, then we look for Euro USD to appreciate. And if this fails, then it will be a different story altogether. But this here is also a key area of interest. This 104 point, I'll just call it 104.80 area of former resistance that is yet to be tested as support. Now, with that said, let's clean this up and then let's look at like Euro USD as an example. So for Euro USD, don't forget it's in the opposite direction as you'll be looking forward to the dollar depreciating today, the directional bias today. That means that the Euro USD directional bias should be up. But then we need a little pullback to this point here and then push higher here. This here is also a key area. If you look to the left-hand side, we have this as a form of support. Then also here as well, some support. But then don't forget it's an area because you might be saying, oh, this breached the area. But then don't forget if you're using the likes of the rectangle, it more or less covers that area nicely. Area, level, or zone. You need to understand what you're looking out for and then just wait for the market to get there. And hopefully you get your reaction and then your trigger to enter. One thing I always advise traders also before you pull the trigger, before you finally pull the trigger, is that the risk to reward ratio must be on point. And that's why I say I personally don't take too many trades. I wait for the best of the best to come my way, right? And you can see nothing has come my way this week. I'm still going to be patient, right? Because I am not rushing into the market, and I wouldn't advise that for anybody. So this is the Euro USD based on the dollar DXY that we looked at now. And if you want, you could also look at a few other instruments, just like the dollar index, you're looking forward to a selling over here. The same thing for gold. Let's put gold here. I'm looking forward to a case of buying as well, right? The dollar index is what? You're looking forward to selling. Then the gold, you're looking forward to buying somewhere around this area here. Let me do some mapping here. Somewhere around this area where it is. And you can see this area here of support. There's a big breach over here, but look, this ended up as a what? It ended up as a big bullish hammer or bullish pin bar. Either one is still the same thing. I didn't appreciate it. So this area too is pretty hot for long positions. I personally haven't gotten my trigger. I'm still waiting for something extra, so I'm going to wait a bit. And then don't forget there is high impact news for the dollar by 3:15 p.m. where the Fed Chair Powell will be on the wires, will be giving a speech. So expect volatility in this area as well. The market could as well be pretty quiet prior to the news, who knows? But then it could take off before the news. But most times, before the news comes out, it's just like in that, in the scary movies where something is about to happen, the music does what? It changes dramatically and everything kind of slows down. That's what also happens in the market. Now, apart from this, I also want to show you guys Bitcoin. Bitcoin has been doing a lot of sideways action of recent, especially after the explosive run that is to the upside. After the sideways after the bullish run that we've had, now look at what the Bitcoin is now painting, and this is what I would like to see. Look at this, guys, quickly. This is the 1 hour time frame. We're trying to do things from the intraday perspective so that we could have some positions, some opportunities in the market for the week, right? What is this? Resistance, resistance. By now, everything should be clear based on how we trade. We are strictly on price action, support, and resistance. And then here we have resistance again. We have support, support, resistance, 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 resistance. It looks like we're trying to have some form of support here, but I'm not expecting this to hold, but rather I'm expecting it to break this area, and then this is what we can even call a flip zone. A flip zone is an area that has acted as support and resistance in the past. So from here, I'm expecting the market to push higher to this point here where we have this area of flip. And then from here, you should get your entry and then it goes down in your favor. And hopefully it can break out from these lows over here because this has been a long time coming. Excuse me. Now, with that said, before we round up, of course, don't forget if you have any questions, you have the comment section below. Ask your questions and I'll get back to you in good time. And if this video was helpful, you know what to do. Give it a thumbs up. Now we have other instruments, but I'm trying to also watch the time so that it is not too lengthy. You could also let us know your instrument of choice and then the time frame, and we could conduct analysis for you as well. We have the spools. If you look very well from last week, you had a massive bullish run, and then look at where it is now. It is now sitting on this area of support. This was resistance, resistance, now sitting on the area of support. And of course, you have the others and then the NAS as well. You can see what's happening here. Just hit the resistance and reacting to it. All you have to do is just map out your areas and then wait for price to get there. This here is clearly an untested area of support. And then if price gets there, we see whether it will act as what? It will act as support or not. So this is what we're waiting for price to get here, and then you get your trigger and then take it higher from here. One thing I will tell you guys is that the S&P 500, the DAX, and then also the NAS 100, they tend to move in the same direction. They tend to move most times, they're usually aligned. So that could be a good one for you as to how to look at the three of them and just take a trade on just one, right? So if it's right, all of them should more or less work the same way. And if it's wrong, then you just had one loss as well. Always ensure that you minimize your losses. Now, I'm going to gradually start to round this up, but I want to just mention this before we finish. A quick disclaimer that the information we're sharing is for educational purposes only, right? It's not to be used as a form of signal. But if you are going to be taking some of these trades that we have shown you, just ensure you understand your risk to reward ratio, you have calculated that, and you are using the proper risk management based on your account balance. And then, of course, finally, you know how to manage your trades appropriately. Now, with that said, I'm going to be saying thank you guys for joining us. Thank you for tuning in. If you have any questions, you know what to do. If you're new to the channel, smash that sub button and then turn on the notification bell. Thank you guys. Guys, trade safely, high impact news. This is not the time to go losing a big chunk of your account. This is not even the time to crash your account at all. So thank you guys. Has indeed been a good one. Enjoy the rest of the day. Trade safely and catch you on the next video. Cheers.